Good morning, everyone. Could you give me a quick thumbs up or yes in the chat box if you can hear me okay? Fantastic. Okay, well, it's 10 o'clock, so we'll make a start. Thank you for coming this morning. My name is Francesca Smith. I'm one of the careers advisors at UCLan Careers. So I hope you're all doing okay. And yeah, congratulations for finishing or very near to the end of finishing your first, second, third year of your course or your masters or whatever you're doing. I'm sure it's been quite a busy and stressful couple of last few months for you. So congratulations there. So we're here today, probably only for about 15 minutes, to have a quick fire discussion about planned happenstance, which is a career theory, career toolkit, um, about kind of how people plan their careers. So what I want to do is to give you an overview of what the planned happenstance career development theory means, and to consider this is the most important for me really. We're going to spend the most time discussing today's, and for you to consider the actions and attitudes that can lead to success, and then to consider what your flexible plan of action is maybe as your next steps. But it's the second objective which is the most important for me today. So I don't know if planned happenstance is something that you've heard of before, but it's a career development theory introduced in 1999 by Mitchell, Levin and Krumboltz. And when match theories and other career theories don't provide the impetus for career decision making, planned happenstance can help the student generate career options and opportunities. So what that means is that we're all encouraged, aren't we? Especially, career guidance 20, 30 years ago. I mean, careers advisors get a lot of stick really for how careers guidance used to be many years ago. And everyone says about, oh, my careers advisor told me I couldn't do this or I could do this. And you go into the careers room at school and you take a test and the careers advisor tells you what you should be. So careers guidance and advice has come a long way since then. And of course, careers advisors don't tell anyone what to do. You're completely in charge of your own decisions and your own destiny. We're here to give you the information that you need, the tools that you need, be an impartial sounding board to help you to make those decisions. So it's come a long way since then. But match theories are still kind of really important and really well used in career guidance. So, for example, on the Graduate Prospects website, which is a really good graduate careers website, there's a quiz that you can take on there that will ask you lots of different questions about your skills, your interests, your motivations, what you think you're good at. And it will suggest some careers, which will suit you, which is a sensible way to go about making decision making, career decision making. And there's absolutely, nothing wrong with that. And it's a way that a lot of people do make the career decisions. However, in reality, a lot of people don't end up making career decisions that way, or the career doesn't plan out, using some kind of match theory for lots of different reasons. Either, perhaps a person doesn't feel that the careers that are kind of well matched to them are careers that they want to choose for whatever reason, or, events happen throughout their life which perhaps bring up slightly different opportunities that they never even thought of. Because when you do take something like a quiz on graduate prospects, which is something that we advise all students to do, a lot of kind of like traditional jobs and job titles, obviously it can't cover every single job or job title or job opportunity that's out there. But you're only getting kind of a snapshot of kind of, what kind of, career opportunities are available to you. But, in reality, there are chance events that happen, all the time that take people into, perhaps this kind of slightly different career path than they intended. So some argue it's not necessarily a theoretical model, but it's a tool that assists students as they kind of, go about making their career decisions. So you'll often hear people say, well, I just fell into my career. Often people don't actually just fall into their career, and they're not often just in the right place at the right time. But there's certain actions and attitudes that have led them, to be in that right place at the right time. I say in kind of inverted commas, and it's so. For example, I worked with a girl years ago, and she worked in a college, and she was a student liaison officer. So she built up relationships with local schools and went out to schools and developed, designed and developed and delivered workshops to school children to about their options, and let them know about the college, and built up relationship with local schools. And she was in the middle of doing a PGCE actually in history. But in her own time, she did some blogging around about the time when the gin industry boomed. So she was doing all these different gin cocktails and gin blogging. And then just by chance, through being involved in that, she saw that a company was advertising for a gin turn, and they wanted someone to go around the country, travelling around the country to gin distilleries, being a professional gin taster, and blogging about it. And so there were like about 5,000 applicants, and she applied and she got the job, which then took her on a completely different career path to one that she'd intended and that she'd built up over years. Training to be a teacher. So, was that luck? Was that being in the right place at the right time? No, it was about kind of having a passion and an interest that she capitalised on, which led her to, be creative in her own spare time, to blog about it, and which then ultimately led to planned happenstance, if you like, playing a part in her career path. What it's not about, which is often it can get criticised for, it's not about not taking action. It's not about just lying about and seeing what happens. But it's about recognising that sometimes you don't need to feel bad about not having everything planned out, because we can have an idea and we can have a plan, but in reality, things don't always work out like that for lots of different reasons. So moving on a little bit more about the theory or the tool that helps you in your career decision making, whatever you want to call it. So we spoke about how it's about capitalising on kind of something unplanned that might occur, a really interesting opportunity, which might bring you to a lot of career happiness and a lot of career success, and not feeling bad about that. That you had a plan, and something has come up and something has cropped up, which means that you've taken a slightly different path. It's about developing, traits and skills and experiences that will make you desirable in the job market, and about having, getting involved in lots of different opportunities, like volunteering, part-time work, internships, leadership experiences, and so on, that will help you to kind of discover, what you're really good at, and make you a really desirable candidate in the job market. And then you can kind of capitalise on these chance opportunities as they arrive. I mean, obviously, at the moment, it's a perfect example with COVID-19, is that, that might obviously, very well, will, throw up a lot of, unexpected occurrences, which means that people may find that they may need to kind of change the career path. So, for example, if you were, looking to, go into hospitality or retail management, your plans kind of maybe, you might have got placed on a graduate scheme, but that might be, delayed at the moment. So you might need to kind of think about other things for the short term, or obviously there will be other industries that will, be absolutely kind of, booming due to COVID-19, which may obviously, which will open up more job opportunities in certain areas. So, that may mean that your career might take it out a slightly different route to which that you intended. Sometimes, people become ill, and, they have to kind of, take a completely different career path. So it's about, being flexible about that, and recognising that's part of normal career development and planning. So it's about being an all-rounder with a positive mindset, and then that's likely to lead to opportunities. Being comfortable with not having it all planned out, and recognising that planned happenstance comes into play, at people's careers at some point, and it's not usually just chance. It's usually a result of actions that you've taken. So moving forward with this, I want to talk to you about the 5 traits that students must develop to take advantage of opportunity. So the first one is curiosity. So that's obviously about exploring new learning opportunities that will teach you the process of defining your own personal interests. So, for example, You could, see an opportunity and within your plan to be a past leader or student wellbeing advisor, just for example. And you might, get involved with the student wellbeing team just for some part-time money while you're a student. And you might, really, you might think, well, that sounds quite interesting. I'd like to do that. But you might actually, really, really enjoy what you're doing. And then that might lead you on to a different career, a different career path, maybe to something like teaching or social work. Persistence is obviously kind of really, really important. We all know the story of kind of J.K. Rowling, don't we? Who wrote to 150 publishers or whatever it was, and got knocked back and knocked back, and now obviously she's a multi-million billionaire, one of the most successful authors that we know. But it's about exerting that effort despite setbacks. And as careers advisors, we encourage students to open doors that may have been previously closed to them. And we always say, if you're looking for work experience or you're looking for a job, then you do need to be prepared to knock on people's door more than once. And you do need to understand that sometimes it can take 20 applications before you find an internship, and that's quite common. And what a lot of people don't realise, again, just using a random example, a lot of people who apply for the police force, which is a very popular career choice for some people, can often take 3 or 4 attempts before they're successful. And the police encourage people to apply again, as long as you left a 6-month gap and you've shown that you've done something to improve your application since then that's absolutely fine. So it's about not expecting to be successful, the first time. Flexibility is, absolutely key, because industries and roles change all the time, and there are jobs now in the NHS, for example, that didn't exist 20 years ago. So, for example, and just thinking about the careers service as an example, I've worked in careers for 12 years now, and careers advisors used to sit within local authorities many years ago, and go out to local schools and colleges and so on. And then about the early 2000s, the role of careers advisor kind of disappeared really for kind of local authorities for young people, and it became, you might have heard of connections, and everyone became connections personal advisors, and which had a wider remit. It wasn't just about careers, it was about personal support. It was about helping students who were homeless and taking them to appointments for perhaps drug and alcohol addictions, and giving advice about contraception, and loads and loads of different things. And careers advisors really had to be kind of flexible, because their role had completely changed, and there's nothing that unfortunately that they could have done about that. For example, someone could be a nurse, and then they could become very ill in their career, unfortunately, and develop something like ME, and then obviously have to change direction to kind of desk work, and kind of some people might go into like management roles or drug and alcohol work, and using the skills and experiences that they've gained for the nursing career, even though they never planned for that. And the NHS I mentioned earlier, about kind of 15 years ago, they developed a role called a health trainer, which was working with people in small groups and on one-on-one to improve their health, and give advice about smoking, diet, exercise, and so on. So that recruited a lot of people that perhaps had been life coaches or personal trainers or mentors, to this new role. So careers change all the time. Jobs exist, jobs don't exist anymore. So it's about being flexible. Okay, risk taking is really, really important. Because your action may or may not generate career opportunities, but lack of action definitely provides no opportunities. So a good example of that would be the media industry. You have to have a lot of work experience to crack the media industry often. And you never know which conversation that you've had, or which day work shadowing, or which work placement that you do is going to be the one that is going to pay off. So it's always kind of taking a risk. But it's just one of those things that you've got to do. It's about taking action in the face of uncertain outcomes, and will generate at least a possibility of chance events occurring. And you've got to be kind of comfortable with that. So, for example, me a few years ago, I left a permanent job in a local authority because a temporary contract came up in a university centre. which I knew would give me some experience in the HE industry because I knew I wanted to work in the university. So that was a big risk for me and a big decision. I had a mortgage and certain things, but I left that permanent job to a temporary job that was only for a year, which was a risk because I didn't know whether it was continue or whether it was going to get me to where I wanted it to be. But that experience, that temporary experience did, and that led me then on to going to work on in a college to be a team leader, and then to work in higher education, which is something that I was planning to do. So often you've got to take those risks and to get to where you want to be. Optimism is obviously really, really important. The mind has such a kind of an important kind of connection to your physical body, and it's absolutely key, really. So the more positive you are in your mindset, the more open you're going to be to new opportunities, because you're going to believe that something positive will happen, and you're going to be more likely to behave in certain ways that will encourage that. So it's about not believing, I'm not going to get the job that I want because of COVID-19. Then you're unlikely, aren't you, to kind of chat to employers and ask the questions, and take advantage of the hidden job market, update your CV and carefully apply for jobs. So mindset is absolutely key to everything. Okay, so yeah, it's about following your heart often to career success. Cause for example, you might leave university and some people get what we call a stopgap job when they leave university, which might not be their ideal job, but it's just something for the time being while they're looking to what they want to do. But while you're there, there might be lots of different opportunities that open up. So, for example, I've known students who have been planning perhaps careers, let's say, in the media or in teaching or whatever it is, and they've perhaps gone to work in a call centre, for example, on a temporary contract just to get them some money in while they're planning the next steps. But then I've known students who have then been asked to go and perhaps help out in the HR department or the recruitment department. And then next news, they've been offered a permanent job in the HR department, and the career's taken a completely different, unexpected route. Or I've known students who have been waiting for the applications to go through in the police, for example, and then there's perhaps one student I could think of, for example, went to be a PA for somebody and she was quite good at maths, and the director that she was working for were looking for someone to do some accounts. So she ended up helping him out with that, and he put her through a qualification, and now she's accountant. So there are all sorts of opportunities that might come up, which you may not have planned for, but may lead to career success for you. So it's about not being so fixated on one goal because you've studied a certain subject or you always wanted to be something. If that's you, that's absolutely fine. That's absolutely great. But sometimes other opportunities come up which lead you to different paths, which are just or more as rewarding. Perhaps not being so fixated on traditional job titles too. Because there are lots of different companies, organisations out there with lots of different roles. So, for example, a lot of people go into teaching and then might find a couple of years down the line that they feel like they're fitting a square peg into a round hole. And when we actually kind of speak to them and talk about their skills and interests and what motivated them to go into teaching and what aspects of their career they really enjoy, they might decide that actually working for a children's charity as a project coordinator would suit them better, or advice and guidance work in a college, or youth work, or family support work to a local authority, or working for disability services in higher education. So that's about following your heart and capitalising on planned happenstance. So I hope that gives you an idea of some of the actions and attitudes that you can hopefully foster to aid and encourage your career success, whatever that means to you. So just to go over them again, it's about being curious. Okay. Oh, that sounds interesting. Let's have a look at that. Being persistent. Not being afraid to knock on people's door more than once, twice, 3, 4 times. Taking calculated risks. Being optimistic and positive, and being flexible. So I think that's everything from me today. So I just wondered if you wanted to use a chat box, what do you think kind of, your next step is now in your career? It might just be, I'm going to volunteer for something that really interests me, or, I'm going to have a look at the quiz on prospects, or, there's an organisation that really interests me. I'm going to go and speak to someone from there, or, whatever it is. If you just want to type something in the chat box, it'd be great to hear from you. There's no rush. You could take a minute or two to have a think about it. I can see a couple of people are typing. So Christopher thinks he'd look into things which may not normally feel is my area of interest. Fantastic. Yeah. Yeah. Because, especially, you change, don't you, from when you first enter higher education to when you're leaving, or even at the end of your first year. You're introduced to lots of different opportunities and knowledge and people and experiences. And yeah, your interest might change completely. Okay. Although you're going to look at getting a regular job or trying to find a suitable graduate job. Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, that stepping stone, that stopgap job, very well may just be a stepping stone, or it could just lead you to a completely, you don't know who you're going to meet in that job, and on what potential they're going to see in you, and what opportunities are going to arise within that company and organisation. And yeah, you just never know. Something could come up there. So yeah, thank you so much for sharing. And thank you very much for coming today. Has anyone got any questions? Feel free to type them into the chat box. Okay. Well, if no one's got any questions, thank you very much for coming today. And I hope it's helped to open up your thinking and your mindset, if anything. But don't forget we're here for you at UCLan Careers. Even after you graduated, we offer lifelong career support. You can come back 10, 20 years after you've graduated if you like. So please do come and use us. We're here for talking through career options with you. You don't need to know what you want to do. You're welcome to come and say, I don't have a clue where to start. Can I just have a chat with you? Or looking at different career options, putting a bit of a plan together, help with CVs, application forms, mock interviews, giving you advice on your LinkedIn profiles, and lots of different things. So, we're all obviously going to, working to offer remote appointments on Microsoft Teams or telephones if you're not able to do that. So have a look at the rest of the webinars. We're going to be putting those on through the summer and see what's available. But you could, book in for an appointment with any of our careers advisors at a time which suits you. You can do that on Career Edge. So please do come back and use us as many times as you need to. And if I don't hear from you again, best of luck with everything. Okay. You're welcome. Bye bye for now.